Talkin' Country. You're listening to Talkin' Country with Paul Taylor.
Hi, welcome to my channel, Talking Country, where we'll be chatting to the stars of country music from around the world, whether it's in Nashville, Australia, UK, Ireland. You'll get it here first. If you like us, subscribe and give us the big thumbs up. Hopefully you enjoy it. Three, two, one. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the British Country Music Association workshop, and I'm really pleased to have as my guest today is Jimmy Ritchey, all the way from Nashville, award-winning writer, producer, composer, you name it, he's done it all. Welcome, Jimmy. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Paul. Thank you so much for having me. I do appreciate it.
No, I know you're so busy. You were just talking to me a little bit off air then and saying that you've been doing some dusting off some equipment and getting ready for the big launch, aren't you?
I'm hoping. Music's kind of coming back over here, not so much maybe over there. But I've just had a bunch of old Fender amplifiers that just haven't really been turned on and heated up lately. So as you do that, as you know, with old components, sometimes you have some problems. So me and a buddy are going through a bunch of old gear today, just trying to make, so, there's no need to have it if you can't use it.
Yeah. And like I said, just again, off of it, I know your credits to date, but just let us know the flavor of the kind of artist that you've produced, you've wrote for, composed for, the whole thing.
I've worked with a bunch of artists since I've been in Nashville. So over the last 20 years, I've recorded Vince Gill, Randy Travis, Pam Tillis, Mark Chestnut, Clay Walker, Tracy Lawrence, Tracy Byrd, Jake Owen, Sam Hunt, Robert Counts, Terry Clark. A bunch of folks had songs written by George Strait, Montgomery Gentry, Tracy Lawrence, Tracy Byrd, Mark Chestnut, Pam Tillis, Jake Owen, a bunch. I've been real fortunate.
You've been like a who's who as well, isn't it? And one of the my favorite songs is Jake Owen's "The One That Got Away." Just love it.
Oh, thank you.
No, absolutely.
I actually played a gig with Jake last weekend.
Oh, did you?
Guitar. Went out and played a live gig on guitar last weekend.
Wow, a massive fan of Jake Owen's, and I think, did you go down to his stag do last time we spoke down in Florida?
Yes.
Was it? Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because you're associated with the Swedish country, amazing country singer Eleanor Springstake, who's been on the show a couple of times on my radio, and that's how we got to know each other. And but yeah, you were talking about Jake Owen going on his stag do. I thought, wow, that will be some stag. Can you remember it?
Yeah, it was good. Florida. We ended up getting stuck down there for almost 12 days because the weather hit Nashville while we were gone, and the airports and flights shut down for a few days. So we just stayed down there in sunny Florida.
I can think of worse things to be held up for 12 days.
We had a good time for sure.
But with the British Country Music Association members, like I said, there are a lot of artists and budding songwriters, etc., who, they want to form a career, or they're pretty much down the road as a career, but never had that sprinkle of stardust and pixie dust and things like that. And from a songwriting perspective, I mean, how did you get into songwriting? What was the key components of writing a song as well to get you on that road?
At one point of my career in Nashville, I joined a band, or put a band together with some other gentlemen, and we got a record deal on Warner Brothers, signed to a record deal. And then we all started kind of writing as a band together. Now, as a child growing up, I'd always write musical melodies, but I've never was much on lyrics, I jot some thoughts down every now and then, but it's hard to get it all dialed in and completed, So I think the writing part for me started when I was in this band 20 some years ago. And then I really enjoyed the craft. And then obviously the first time you get somebody to record one of your songs, that's addicting. And then it's very competitive and, just good.
Who was the first one to actually pick up one of your songs and record it?
Whew, that is a very good question. My first major label recording by somebody that had a record deal was actually David Nail.
Yeah.
A country singer from over here, David Nail.
I love David Nail. You really do.
Yeah.
I saw him at the C2C a few years ago. But I actually saw him in New York as well. I was on vacation in New York about maybe 7 years ago now. And I looked who was in anybody in town, and it was in a little theater. And, you know, just basically blew the place apart. I think he's a fantastic singer and composer.
He's a very good singer. I haven't seen much of David. Nobody sees anybody anymore with the pandemic. I mean, don't bump into anyone. All of our award shows have been canceled pretty much, and any kind of public events for songwriters or any of that just hasn't happened.
I know this year I was lucky and fortunate enough to join the CRS, the Country Radio Seminar, because it was online. I wasn't actually there in person. And some people who have got, they reached out to me saying, do you want to be part of this? I went, yeah. So I've been obviously chatting to songwriters and, and media, and people just see the artist. And I always say this, it's more like an iceberg. You know, there's a bunch of people way, way below the surface of the water and the iceberg that makes that artist. And one of them is singer, but also producer as well. You know, if you don't produce a good song for that artist, that could make or break him, couldn't it?
Well, I'll tell you, you're right. Well, it can make and break you, because usually the first person to ever get fired in a situation when something's not going right is the producer.
Yeah.
The artist and the management team and the record label, they point at the only person that they can really make a change with. That's the producer. So a lot of guys come to town and they start working with people, and then the rug gets pulled out from them and they don't know how to deal with it. But honestly, rejection, here's one thing, let me say this. If you have a hard time with rejection, the entertainment business probably isn't for you in general.
Yeah. Especially
the music business. And because there's a lot of that goes on. But the producer's always the first person to get fired when some things aren't going well. And it's because obviously it's his job to deliver a hit. That's the only thing in the music business that hasn't changed from 1910 to now, 2020. Hit song fixes every problem.
It does.
Solves them all.
I mean, I would imagine that's happened to you somewhere along the line. I mean, how did you feel at that day? I mean, did you think the whole world's come up from under you, or?
No, because it didn't take me long to realize by watching my mentors and talking to people that came before me that those things happen. Some things just run its course creatively. The artist has a different, they're at a different point in their life where they want to do something that you might not be the best person for.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever had that sort of communication with an artist, male or female, to say to them, you know, I think we should change this. What do you think? And they just go with you?
Oh, well, I've told artists that they should probably find different producers, including myself, fired myself. And I've told other artists that they should probably fire the person they're with, because it's you can just kind of see things run its course sometimes.
Yeah.
There are exceptions to the rules, obviously, but I can't think of one artist in this town that has had the same producer that's relevant right now, that's been around longer than 10 years, that have used the same producer throughout their whole career. I can't think of one, actually. And I'm thinking.
Well, that's it, because everybody changes, and I think it's, I mean, one of the things I picked up, because I was always in sales in my day jobs and things like that. And I went to, and I was also practicing karate at the time for about 25, 30 years. I've actually just started it back just before the pandemic, and soon just getting my fitness up to go back again, although I'm too old for it. I know I am. But one of the things I picked up on was speaking to a Japanese master. And you might think, what's that linking with music? And it's about being a master. And I looked at his belt, and his belt was pretty much white. And I said to him, and we were having a coffee, we went to a seminar and did some training with them, and it was a Q&A. And I said, you know, how come your belt's going white? And my black belt was fading. But he was saying, well, it means you come full circle. You never stop learning. Right. And things are changing all the time. So that reflects you going from a white belt, which is a beginner, to black belt. And I went, the light bulb moment, I went, wow.
You know, it's very interesting, because that's the great thing about martial arts. I understand martial arts quite well. And that like, how do I want to say it? The repetition of becoming a master at something. That's where you're right. It ties totally into the musicianship or the craftsmanship of songs or whatever it is you do. And I also believe that people should do more than one thing to master one thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, just because you can go out here and break up more boards than anyone else doesn't mean you won't get beat up in a street fight. No. Even though you know what I mean?
No, it is. It is, and it's not forgetting your foundations that you've built up at that point, isn't it? And that's what I meant by going full circle and picking on your foundations all the way through, but also along the way picking up new ideas and new things. And I think when you liken that to music, it's the same thing. You know, what's got you, if you're an artist or a songwriter or a composer, if you've got to that level, you've also got a bit of history behind you and foundation that you need to draw on sometimes to go forward, but also looking at what's happening, what's relevant.
Yes. And I think, like, as martial arts too, with that kind of discipline, and if you apply it in the music business, I think you learn to respect the industry, the craft of whatever it is you're trying to do more when you learn it that way.
It's quite interesting, really, because I know over time I've reconnected with some of my old friends who were karateka, as they call it, or practicing karate or martial arts, and there's about a hefty 70% of them are musicians of one thing or another. It's quite
kidding.
Yeah. I was like, what? In bands or just, solo artists or, I thought, wow, that is amazing.
Well, I think maybe it has to do with the discipline it takes to learn either one of them, maybe.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right there. And it's getting that. I mean, from a songwriting perspective for yourself, which is first, melody or lyric?
Every time's different. But if I were to pick up a guitar right now, I would have no problem sitting here and playing for an hour a bunch of songs or music that you've never heard before. But there wouldn't be a lyric to it. I would be playing melodies, styles. It wouldn't matter, from something that sounded Irish to something that sounds like bossa nova.
Yeah.
So that's just a natural part of a musician when they pick up an instrument. It takes a little bit more thought process to sit down and craft a story or a lyric that makes sense. That's not as natural for me as somebody who can just put the paper to the pen, the pencil to the paper and just start writing out ideas and thoughts and where they all make sense. You know what I mean? That doesn't come to me.
Yeah, I've been both. I've sort of, even before I've been in a gig in the change room, just practicing warming up, I've hit a melody and I'm going, oh, I like that. I like that. I'll throw in a minor in there somewhere, and I like the minor. Now and again, I'm a big Bruce Springsteen fan, and he always throws in a minor.
I love it.
And I'm thinking to myself, how can I do that? What will go with that? And then I'll leave it, and then suddenly somebody will say a phrase, or I'll see something on TV, and I tell you, I wrote a song called "Above Ground" years and years ago. It was just for gigs, stuff like that. But I listened to a sports personality at the time who had a very bad accident and no longer can compete. And the commentator and the interviewer said, how'd you get on? I mean, what's your day-to-day like, not competing anymore, not having that competition? And they just said, well, every day I'm above ground. There's a bonus. And I went above ground, and I just sat on it for years and then built it. And then I heard Deakin off Nashville TV say something. He went, I'm not dead, I'm not done. And I thought, I'm having that. That'll go in there. And it's just picking little things up and then sitting on it. And suddenly you get the light bulb moment at 3 o'clock in the morning, go, I need to pick up my guitar. There's something in my mind. Are you like that? Is that something that your process you will go through?
Yeah, a lot of times, and this is just a good piece of advice for songwriters. It's like a lot of times they'll lock themselves in front of their computer with their guitar or paper in their hand and say, I've got to write something today, which is a good exercise to write as much as you can, as often as you can. But sometimes, and this is key, you've got to get out into the public, or you've got to open your mind to accept these kinds of ideas that could, you could flush out to turn into great songs. I was out of town this weekend traveling, and I heard so many great song titles by just overhearing people talking and somebody saying funny stuff. Yeah. I mean, not so many, maybe four or five, but I jotted them down in my phone, and I'll revisit them when I sit down to write one day again. So yeah, I think be aware of your surroundings and get out to the people, because as a songwriter or an artist, especially as a songwriter. You know, we have Walmart. Do you all have Walmart?
We used to do. They were linked to Asda over here for quite a while, and then Walmart came. I don't think they're still here. There was a few mega stores, but yeah, it's along those supermarket.
Okay, and I always would tell my songwriters, I would say, listen, you should just when's the last time you went to Walmart or any of those major, but Walmart's key for us over here because it comes in rural areas and all across the United States, all over the place. And it covers so much ground from the products that it sells, from groceries to tires to clothes to everything else. And I always tell my songwriters, like, you need to go spend an hour at Walmart on Saturday morning, somewhere around 10 to noon, 1 o'clock, and just go study those people in there. Because when you're writing a song, that's your audience, or at least that's the majority of our country audience. It's generally, you know, kind of just normal, everyday people, and they all have something in common. It's your job to figure it out and tell it to them in a way that they understand it, that it resonates with every one of those people in that store. So as a songwriter, sometimes songwriters it depends on the songwriter. There's two kinds of songwriters. There's a commercial songwriter, and then there's a songwriter that writes for themselves, for therapy, for whatever the reason it may be. But if you're a commercial songwriter, that means you have to somehow or another get your music to the people that are at the department store, hypothetically. So my advice in that case would be, go figure out who those people are. Because if you're locked up in your house with a computer and a pen and a piece of paper, and you never get out to the people that are those people, or ever go see a live show to see what people are into, you know what I mean? That's study your craft. I mean, study your audience, at least, if you're trying to compete as a commercial songwriter, someone who writes hit songs for other people.
There are some amazing songwriters over here too, and just not had that lucky break. You know, but I've been championing them quite a bit on the radio. And you're thinking to yourself, you could close your eyes and not know the name and think, yeah, they're from Nashville, or, you know, somewhere.
Wow, great.
You know, they may have had a co-write in Nashville or whatever, but they haven't really had that next level, you know, and it's just knocking on the doors. And I mean, from yourself, I mean, is it something that once you've got a finished product, the song, it's done, the melody's in, you know, you get a singer to sing it to actually try and get it published, or is it yourself that sings it and goes in?
It just depends on the song. A lot of times, in my case, I'll write with an artist that already is a singer that's either working on a project or not. Or a lot of great songwriters in our town are great singers. I'm not one of them. But a lot of times there'll be a singer in the room that's better than myself, and we'll decide how we want to take the song. If it's a poppier song, like an Illinois Spring Strike song, hypothetically, we build a track that sounded a lot like the record, right? In some cases, you need to do that. But in other cases, just a guitar vocal at the end of the writing session into your iPhone, two guys on guitars, one guy singing. I've had songs recorded that way. And then, of course, you could go to a recording studio or build yourself a track and hire a singer, the right singer, to maybe cast the song in a certain direction. If I was trying to get a Reba McEntire cut, I probably wouldn't want a singer singing my demo that sounded like Leanne Womack, hypothetically. Different kind of singers, you know. And I love Leanne Womack, and that's a bad example.
Well, the phrasing is different, isn't it? The phrasing is a little different, isn't it, from the both of the singers?
Yes, and kind of the tone. It's like when a singer can hear them. It's easier for a singer to hear themselves singing a song, I think, when the singer that's singing the demo kind of sounds like that, you know.
No,
I wouldn't hire you know.
No,
but you don't have to hire a singer. I'm just not a good one.
No, I know it's just giving an insight of, because I've spoke to a few people over there, and they're saying, "Oh, well, we have this, and we have, you know, and that." Oh, we had Trisha. You know, Trisha Yearwood was the demo singer, and then obviously where she is now. Back in the day, you know, likes of Ed Hill.
Her and Joe Diffie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ed Hill came on the show a few weeks ago, And he was telling me, and I know that you and Ed have worked with Aaron Goodwin as well recently, haven't you? And you kindly put Aaron my way, and he's got a new single out as well, hasn't he, at the moment? Yeah, was you instrumental in that as well?
No, that's something new. I just read about it. His last single I had, and I don't know how far it got up the charts, somewhere near 10. And I actually haven't heard the new single, but I did congratulate him on it. And we're fixing to do some more writing. Actually, Ed Hill as well.
Yeah, brilliant. I messaged him because he's a friend on Facebook. So I messaged him as well. He said, "Hey, dude, thank you very much."
Oh, yeah.
But no, I mean, like I said, it is a difficult process, isn't it? In the path that you want to take, whether you're a singer, songwriter, producer, and I'm getting more and more into the back of the desk kind of thing now. I've toured with a few people now, like Joni Harms, Nancy Hayes, James House, and learnt as I went and did the sound for the gigs. I was like the support, but also doing the sound for them. And it's just wanting to learn more and more and more, and doing online courses during lockdown. And I'm fascinated by the producing side of it, as well as the not just in front of house, back of house,
That's my favorite thing personally. That's what I love to do the most, to get a group of phenomenal musicians. There's so many ways to make records, but my favorite way is to get a bunch of great musicians in a great recording studio with a great engineer and make some music more than anything, actually.
Do you have a favorite set of musicians that you call on, during your time and mixing, mixing guy?
I'm sorry, say that again. You cut out because of the internet.
Yeah. Do you have a set standard guys, musicians, guys and girls, musicians that you call on regularly?
Musicians and engineers, is that what you said?
Yeah. Is it near enough the same people all the way through?
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're breaking up. Am I breaking up? Right. No, I'm just saying that, the musicians that you have, and the editors and things like that, who are doing the music, is it normally the same people throughout your career?
No, I use a plethora of different people for different things. I've always thought that a true sign of there's two schools of thought. There are producers that do their thing, and you get hired to do whatever that thing is. Like Max Martin does a thing, and he does it very well. The pop producer from Sweden. I'm a little bit more, I like so many different styles of music. I always hire what I feel is the best people for the job, from the engineer to all the musicians to, work in different studios. Always. I just like my artists to have their own identity. And I feel like a lot of times in my case, one musician can really make a big difference. I'll reschedule recording sessions. Our town is full of great musicians, but if I have a vision in my head on who needs to be playing drums or guitar or bass or piano on a certain project, I kind of usually don't stray too far away from that. I cancel a lot of things if I can't get the right people. I move stuff around.
Ah, right. Okay, that's cool. And what's in the pipeline for you right now? What's going over the hedge?
I have in the studio, Robert Counts cutting new music. I got
great guy.
Single coming. Huh?
Yeah, you put me with Robert. He's a great guy.
Yes.
He? Yeah, really good.
Yes, he's a great guy. And I've got a single coming out with Chuck Wicks and Jimmy Allen, excuse me. Chuck Wicks and Jimmy Allen that's coming out pretty soon. We're just finishing that up. I have a new Andy Velo dropped. I'm getting ready to go back in with Pam Tillis. Wow. I've been working with John Cicada, actually, which is interesting.
Wow. No, it's interesting. Jamie Allen, I saw him at the C2C as well. He's gone from strength to strength, hasn't he, Jimmy Allen? And Chuck Wicks is a phenomenal artist.
Yeah, this is going to be a special song. It's an old cover song. I'll send it to you when I get it done. It's a pop song from I don't know, probably 77 or so.
Wow.
I think you'll recognize it.
Well, I was in my prime in 1977.
Yeah, well, it was a good year for you.
I was 16. Yeah. Well, it was good and bad because Elvis passed away. Elvis passed away the day I started work.
Wow, really?
August 16th, 77, something like that, was it? It was something like that. Picking up a paper saying the king is dead. I was like, what? What's that like?
Wow, that's hard to believe.
Yeah, I can't believe that. But yeah,
I think that's the year that Leonard Skinner's plane crashed too.
I know, it was unbelievable.
I think 77.
But you've got a whole host of things going on, and as I said, I really thank you for spending a bit of time with us here and giving us a great insight into the music industry from your point of view as well. And yeah, I can't wait to meet up with you in person. And I owe you quite a few beers, my friend, I think.
No, Paul, I owe you some. Thank you so much. And listen, anytime I can be of assistance, we could target and talk about whatever you want, and I'll try to stay on topic a little bit better.
Oh, no, you're absolutely fine. It's my job to steer you around, sometimes, and that's my role. But yeah, just stay behind just a couple of seconds after we've stopped the recording. But as I said, Jimmy, I wish you all the best, and stay safe, stay well, you and your family as well.
Thank you, Paul.